ripping and roasting. Yeah, that's what we do. Set 'em up, knock 'em down, make that cherry glow. Whiskey and cigars, the gentleman's cologne.
Cheers, y'all.
Well.
That sounds like a party just about to begin, ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this fine radio program, podcast, and video extravaganza known internationally
Hi, Mom.
as the world-famous Smokin' and Toastin'. My friends, we are up to episode number 387
Now, if you do the
of
math
the podcast.
and carry the 2, that's halfway to 400.
Oh, so you've gone back to the 400 number.
That's halfway.
Because we were saying we were halfway to 500.
Yeah,
I don't know how
but
you.
we're closer to 4, and so I'm rounding down just a little bit.
Okay.
Puts us halfway to 400.
I don't pretend to understand the math, so I'll just go with what
It's
you
new
said.
math.
Okay. or what did George W. Bush call it? Fuzzy math?
Fuzzy math.
Yeah. I think that's kind of what it
I went to
is.
school in Liberty, Texas. IR math.
I are accepting of your mathism. Our program's all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. We will talk about all of that stuff today, and in particular, we'll be doing a little bit of a focus on fine spirits because joining us on today's program, David Fowler, who is from, like, I consider it kind of like, my family room.
Right.
Because it's so close to where I live.
It is like 2 blocks from your house.
Reserve
right?
101, right across the street from the House of Blues in downtown Houston. And it is a wonderful whiskey bar. And David joins us, and he brought goodies.
Yes, I did.
Goodies to taste. So
yeah, one of our barrel picks.
So,
it's a Scotch barrel pick, the Compass Box Glasgow blend.
I'm not excited at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. We'll get it. We'll get through it, is what I'll just say. And I see the box here, the very familiar Booker's box.
Oh, yeah. The
That was-
2024 number 1, right?
Yeah, and that was Roberto's choice on that one.
Okay, so speaking of Roberto, he's our version of Plastic Man. Plastic Man is not actually a member of the Justice League of America, but he often is there, and Roberto's kind of like that with our show. He's not actually one of the people on the show, but like Plastic Man, he sometimes shows up and helps us either fight crime or drink whiskey.
Right? The mascot.
And today we're going to drink whiskey. So, Roberto Rivas Fowler, welcome back to the show, my friend.
Thank you, my brother.
Nice to
Came
have
here
you.
to fight crime and drink whiskey, and we're all out of crime, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, there you go. Well, so this should be a fun show. We do want to tip our hat and give special thanks to, or big thanks rather, to last week's special guest, Tony Barrios from Stallone Cigars, and of course our friend Doug from Vinyl Draft in Kemah.
Those guys were awesome.
What a fun show we had last week. I was just, it was funny because I was here today. We were getting ready for the show, and Terry opened up the case that had last week's stuff in it that we took down to Vinyl Draft. It was that wonderful,
like last week.
wonderful cigar aroma just came pouring out of there. So that was loads of fun. We are super excited to be here today and talk about the whiskeys, of course, that we mentioned. We'll tell you about some cigars that we had a chance to partake of this week, and we'll also be tasting some beers. You're okay helping us taste some beers, right?
Not going to have to twist your arm
Always,
too much,
always.
right?
Okay, yeah, we're going to be trying from Memphis, Tennessee, and Wiseacre Brewing Company. We'll be trying their Tiny Bomb American Pilsner. And
Bomb.
I find that interesting because when I think of if you told me it was Tiny Bomb, I would be expecting like a stout or maybe an Imperial IPA, something that you would think of as a bomb. American Pilsner doesn't always come to my mind first when I think of a Tiny Bomb, but we'll see what that's all about. From St. Paul, Minnesota, and Blackstack Brewing, we'll be trying their double dry hop double IPA called Mommy Dearest.
Nice.
So that should be interesting. And then from Fort Worth, Texas, a brewery that Ian and I are both very familiar with, from Martin House Brewing Company, we'll be trying their rum barrel-aged Imperial Stout called Columbiana.
I mean, you have me at Martin House.
Yeah, I mean, these guys
man,
they're just
They
absolutely.
dominate the experimental stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
they
do
do
so
some
well.
fantastic
They're
stuff
really
over
good,
there.
especially since we lost Ingenious Brewing, which was out a little to the north of Houston.
Ingenious was so good.
They were great with the experimental
that hurt
stuff,
my heart.
but Martin House is hanging in there, and they're doing all kinds of crazy sours and crazy IPAs, and in this case, a barrel-aged Imperial Stout, and it's aged in rum barrels, too.
I love that.
So
Those
that
guys
should
are
be
not
exciting.
afraid to do anything different.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And this is one of those, we've talked about this, and you'll see this when we get to it, but one of those that they do where they stack the 2 cans inside the tall
Right.
box so they can sit next to the
They're
bombers
the
on the
first
shelf
ones
and look
they're
impressive.
the first ones I'd seen that have done that,
Yep.
where instead of giving you the one bomber in the cardboard box,
Mm-hmm.
they give you the 2 cans, which actually equals more beer.
Yeah, which, and again, anytime it equals more beer, we like this.
It's more good.
This
Yes.
works for us. Yes, absolutely. Well, we also will be bringing you the most popular segment on the program. We don't know why it's the most popular. At this point, we just try not to ask questions. Our segment we have in the second hour called Drinking News. This is where we bring you a story from the news that may or may not be about drinking, but is always best enjoyed if you've been drinking. And today's Drinking News teaser headline is... The spirits tell me I'm going to take your money. And we'll get to that in just a little while on the program. Plus, we'll also
Sounds
do
mysterious.
our new segment that we've been doing for about the past month or so, our drinking fact. And the teaser for the drinking fact is we now know how the ancient Egyptians built the Giza pyramids.
Was it with beer?
It could have been. And we'll tell you all about it coming up on the program. In the meantime, though, we have already poured this week's, it's something we like to do sort of sight unseen. So only the person who brought it in knows what it actually is. Everybody tries it sort of blind, and then we talk about it. It's a little thing that we like to call... Oh, Terry's slow in the draw.
The beverage of mystery.
Yes. So once again, I brought the beverage of mystery in today.
That
I'm the
sounds
only one
so
who knows
mysterious.
what it is, but let's do a little sampling, shall we?
And it smells sweet. It smells
Smells sweet.
Like peach.
yeah.
peach.
Is it peach? Yeah.
It smells peachy.
Peachy.
All right. So
Smells like the peach skin kind of peachy.
Yeah.
Slightly carbonated.
yes.
It does not have a fuzzy texture like the peach skin.
Oh, it does not taste like it smells.
But you don't
it's
think it
not as
tastes
sweet.
peach?
I think it tastes peach. I don't think it tastes as sweet
Did
as I
this-
thought it was going to
Did
taste
this
when it
start with
smelled.
carbonation because it's pretty flat?
I will tell you that it came in a can, and when I
There's a
opened the
tiny
can,
bit of carbonation.
when I opened the can, it did not give off the
Nope.
usual carbonated. Psst. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. It was pretty much just a flat opening of the can.
Kind of like makes
There's
me
a little apple juice kind of flavor in there as
Yeah.
kind
well.
of like Martinelli style apple juice.
So obviously, it is
I have no idea
alcoholic.
what that means.
It is alcoholic in that it has alcohol in it. Can you identify the liquor?
Neutral grain. Neutral grain.
Neutral grain.
Everclear, you're saying?
There's a
It's supposed to be vodka.
there's a something in the very back.
Neutral
Yeah,
grain.
maybe vodka
do
or
you
maybe.
do you like it?
I don't think I'd drink more than what you gave me.
Yeah.
You
I
guys?
mean, it's not
Yeah.
bad. I mean, if I was at a party or something, I'll drink it.
It does not have that artificial sweetness aftertaste,
That,
No.
that I like.
which is
Yeah.
which is the thing, and also it's not incredibly sweet either.
Right. It does have
So it-
some little twist of not quite pleasant on the finish.
There's
though.
a
It's like kind of
there's a
dusty on the
bitterness.
finish. I get
Like
Dusty.
a what? Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
Which one
Well,
do you say?
Interesting.
on the finish. It's a little dusty. I'd say.
And I feel it has a little bit of harshness of the spirit at the end.
Yeah,
You feel that?
definitely.
Right.
So a bit astringent.
Well, now's the part of the show where I answer the question:
Is that a beer in your pocket, or are you just happy to see us?
It's not a beer, so I must be happy to see you. We just consumed, ladies and gentlemen, a Long Island peach tea craft cocktail. I'm going to pass that over to you because you've got your
I
glasses
just want to point
on.
out that this matches your shirt
Yes, it does.
like near perfectly.
Well, so
like
what-
if you were to just hold this the whole time like this,
no one would know. It
we
was
wouldn't
there.
even have
See, I
known you
could
were
have done
holding
that.
a
I wouldn't have
can.
had to put it in my pocket.
Yeah.
it would have blended right
Well,
in.
you should know that when I went into my closet today, I thought, what's going to go with the beverage of mystery can?
That's now what drives your
Yes.
what drives
This
your
is what
wardrobe.
this is what drives the wardrobe now.
That's
wardrobe
right.
choices.
That's right.
This is coming in at 10%. No wonder it's
Wow.
feeling a little boozy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Long Island peach tea craft cocktail. This elevated twist on classic combines the best of old school recipes with new school techniques. Our malt beverage, something hides.
So it's a malt beverage?
Rides? I don't know what that word is.
Interesting.
The waves of refresh. Oh, rides. I guess it is. That R is a little funny looking. Rides the waves of refreshment while dripping with southern peach flavor. It's from Spindle Tap of all places.
Yeah, that's
Interesting.
My wife actually brought this home this week and said, "What do you think about this?" And I said, "I think we're going to use it for a beverage of mystery."
Yes.
It is. Does it remind you of a Long Island iced tea?
I wouldn't have nailed Long Island iced tea.
Yeah,
At all. I don't get a lot of
necessarily.
iced tea flavor in
Well,
there.
first of all,
maybe
there-
that's where the bitter comes from too. Because iced tea
maybe.
has a little bitter.
I mean, first of all, to remind me of Long Island, there has to be actual liquor.
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm a huge Long Island fan. That's
Island
one of the
iced
things
teas.
I go to places and I'll order them just to see what they make it like. And yeah, there was missing for that.
I mean, Long Island
Tasted
iced teas
peachy.
are not shy on liquor.
I was going to say,
That's the-
isn't that one of the highest alcohol content of just normal cocktails that
'cause
you would find almost anywhere?
The answer should have been to your
No, I
question,
wouldn't
what's
say
in
that.
it,
Really.
but you
A
should have said
martini
all
would
of them.
be.
yeah.
I think it has the
Martini
facade
would
of
be-
it because
Yeah,
you're
it has a
grabbing so
facade,
many
but
different
it-
bottles, but
Right.
like
That's a good
measurement-wise,
point.
it's not
But
necessarily.
like what liquor was in it, it would be, if it was a Long Island, it'd be
Well,
all of them.
no,
all
but-
of
but
like
it's-
everything.
but
They
the
did,
amount.
they
but the
did
amount
also
you get.
refer to
Yeah,
this as a
the
malt
amount.
beverage. So
Yeah, so this is not actual
I don't know that they're adding any.
spirits.
I don't know. Yeah, spirits like that. Is that what that means? Like
No, it's just malt beverage.
Just malt
There's
beverage.
no, there's no,
so there's no alcohol,
liquor.
liquor added to it. I mean, yeah.
Right. Yeah. Interesting.
Interesting. Okay.
Well, as malt beverages go, it didn't have that disgusting chemical
That's true.
sweetener aftertaste, which I'll give it points for that for sure.
Because it's not terrible. It's drinkable.
Right.
It's
Right.
palatable.
Yeah, the peach
I would be
flavor is
interested
really
to
good.
try
in it.
this like in a glass with a
With
lot
some
of ice.
Yeah.
Because the ice would dilute it a little bit. Might actually taste a little nicer. You might get rid of a little bit of that astringency on the back end of the palate.
Yeah, I agree. It's interesting to me that so many of the canned cocktails are somewhere between awful and yeah, if I was at a
Just
party,
drinkable.
I'd drink it, but they're everywhere. Like now when I go into my Specs in Midtown, there's aisles and aisles
feel-
of these
There's a
craft
whole section
cocktails.
I
dedicated.
feel like they're
And
taking
seltzers.
they're taking room in the fast food market of drinks.
Yeah.
Because, like, I mean, consider this, right? McDonald's is one of the most popular fast food restaurants in the world. Is it good?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't call
It's
McDonald's
edible.
good. It is
It's edible. Like I can enjoy a double cheeseburger and a thing of fries from
It's
time
always
to
the
time.
double cheeseburgers in it because
Yeah,
it's like
it's the only
that's what
it's the
they
only
make,
place
yeah.
to go. Don't
Yeah,
even
but
don't
you
even
know
try
what?
anything else.
They've really done a good thing with the quarter pounder lately. I'm just going to say that.
Okay.
The meat- the meat is so good.
We got a McDonald's
The
fan
meat is
here.
so good.
We got a
Terry
McDonald's fan.
keeping us grounded.
I will just say I went to college, which not only means that I developed a real appreciation for vodka, but also means that I'm kind of a fan of the filet of fish. The filet of fish
The
used to
filet
be
of fish.
99 cents,
Yeah.
and I had a whole bunch of those in college.
Man, when I was in college, they had the 99-cent Whopper. Let me go
Can I
ahead.
just say,
Damn.
I know someone that's in college right now, and they chose Taka vodka was their choice of the weekend because it was only $6 for a 750 milliliter.
And it comes in the handy bottle that has not only a handle so you don't drop it, but if you do drop it,
It just
there's
bounces.
plastic. It
It
bounces.
just bounces right up. You know what?
Exactly.
Those are
was-
safety things.
it
Those are
was-
safety
yeah.
features.
To
Yeah.
quote one of the greatest television specials of all time, Bumbles Bounce.
Bubble bounce.
And everybody got that. I'm so thrilled. All right, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be back. We'll find out what Ian had to smoke this week that he wants to talk about. And we'll begin to get into our tasting here in a few moments because we got some very
of
interesting
stuff
looking
to
whiskey
taste.
to taste as
I
well.
got a
So
surprise one over here too
we'll be
that
right
you guys
back.
don't know
Smoking
about.
and
Yeah.
toasting. Welcome back at Smoking and Toasting. Our show is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. Our guests in studio this afternoon, David Fowler from Reserve 101 Whiskey Bar in Houston, and of course our good friend Roberto Rivas Velar. And Ian is going to tell us about his cigar this week. We each try to set aside something interesting each week that we've smoked to talk about on the show. What's yours?
Well, I went by Casa this morning and they make it so easy for me because like I walk up and they have those end caps like this
Yeah.
is brand new. So I was like, oh, There we go. I was in and out of there in seconds. I picked up the Fonseca MX Mexican Edition Cedros.
Oh.
So this was made by my father. It's the Fonseca line from my father. And Mexican San Andreas Maduro wrapper.
Did my father buy Fonseca, or did they just make a couple?
I don't know what the particulars are on that.
I'll have to go back and look. In my brain, I'm thinking that they bought Fonseca.
I feel like my father owns Fonseca.
Rejuvenated the brand.
Right. And this thing, like, first off, you look at it, in the Cedros version, they had a few different sizes of it, but the Cedros version had the cedar sleeve on it that said Fonseca. And it has the Mexican San Andreas Maduro wrapper with a Nicaraguan binder and a Nicaraguan filler. The appearance on this dark espresso brown wrapper, oily with some veins, 2 bands on it. Had the My Father band, and then the extra little band that said the MX and everything. It was real pretty. They do such a beautiful job on that. Plus the cedar sleeve. So about 75% of this or more of the cigar is covered by wrappers, but you can still see that dark, oily wrapper through that. The pre-light sniff on this, rich earth and cedar, hints of mocha, dark fruit, and coffee is what I got just on the nose. On the pre-light draw, I used a V-cut. I had a very light draw, sweet brownie batter, dark fruit, and some tea leaf notes coming through on that. The initial light on this.
Uh-oh.
MPB makes me feel fine. A little bit of a Nicaraguan pepper blast on this with a twist of leather, even.
I feel like you were trying to be kind to me because you didn't go into the jasmine in my mind.
No, there's no jasmine in my mind, dude. I can't even sing that part.
Thank you.
It's awkward. There's no jasmine in my mind. Cinnamon, maybe, not jasmine.
Yeah, I got you.
Let's see. Immense flavor and smoke issuing forth with a pepper spice that wraps around the tongue and stays in the front of the palate. The back of the palate is left for earth and leather and a sweet brownie batter kind of flavor. The retrohale is peppery and sweet with cedar. The first third of this cigar, bold and earthy with a surprising amount of subtle notes weaving throughout, including dark cherry, cinnamon, fresh cut hay, creamy coffee, and baking spices. The retrohale is peppery and cedar with a touch of sweetness, solid ash, perfect burn. The proposed pairing on this, bold coffee, goes great with this aged rum or with some sweetness like Macambo or Flor de Caña like the 18, something a little aged. The second third of this, cedar ramps up and morphs the pepper into an aged and savory note with a touch of salty and smoky sweetness. The retrohale is sweeter with pepper, cedar, and a touch of coffee, solid ash, perfect burn. The last third of the cigar, cedar and coffee take center stage with notes of salted caramel or toffee maybe, leather, cashew, nuttiness, mocha, and cayenne. Retrohale is sweet cedar and pepper with a touch of brownie, solid ash, perfect burn. Price to quality on this, bold and beautifully complex at $12.50. I'm giving it a 6.
At $12.50?
At $12.50. This thing was so bold and so complex, which you don't usually get those two things together.
Wow.
Solid 6 on this. Fantastic.
Wow.
I would have paid $16 and felt fine.
Yeah, so David, our rating system is a 1 to 10 system for price to quality, but a 5 means you got what you pay for. So for a cigar that's a little more than $12, to score a 6, would you say 6.5 or 6?
6, straight up 6.
Wow, straight up 6. That's pretty
You
impressive.
get more than you pay for. It's a fantastic cigar.
Pretty impressive. All right, we got to take a break. We will be right back. It's Smoking and Toasting. Lots to do yet.
That's pretty.
Welcome back. It's Smoking and Toasting. I'm trying to decide if the bottle of Booker's is more enticing when it's in the wooden box or once you take it out. I mean, that's really beautiful.
It's a beautiful
That's
product.
pretty. That's pretty. Speaking of people who would say the word pretty as purdy, we have to have a quick moment of silence on the show today because of the passing of a Texas cigar legend. We are from Texas, Houston, Texas, to be precise, although the show is heard all over the world. But Texas singer, political candidate, and cigar aficionado Kinky Friedman passed away this last week. And we're just absolutely kind of bummed about it. The news of his death was shared on his own Twitter account, which included a picture of him wearing a cowboy hat, and holding a lit cigar. And that's kind of
the only
what
picture of him
Yeah,
that I
exactly.
even know of.
yeah. Kinky Friedman was such an interesting character. I think of him as a gadfly. There's not many people I would use the word gadfly about.
Gadfly.
Gadfly, yeah. But I thought of him as a gadfly. He has the distinction of being the only musical performer who ever did an episode of Austin City Limits. You guys know Austin City Limits, right?
Oh, yeah.
Kinky's the only musical performer who did an episode of Austin City Limits that they just decided not to air.
No way.
Yeah.
That's
Sure.
why.
But he had wild success. He did Saturday Night Live. He had to spot at the Grand Ole Opry. He did multiple tours with Bob Dylan. So, he had a.
Why did they
a
not
really
air that?
successful-
What's-
I don't know the why
That's
behind
crazy.
it. Apparently, there was some sort of disruption, and that's all I know.
Wow.
Some sort of disruption. But anyway, Kinky, we salute you, and we will drink to you momentarily when we try some of this Tiny Bomb.
Tiny Bomb.
The Pilsner. Ian's already poured that, and you guys can go ahead and start your sampling if you want. I'm going to tell you about
Call
the
it
cigar.
research.
It's beautiful on the nose.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you about the cigar that I smoked this week for the show. Ian reviewed this cigar several shows ago, and for the life of me, I do not remember what he said about it. So, other than the fact that I remember he liked it, so it'll be interesting to see how similar and how different our experiences are about this cigar. He did give me this one. So thank you very much, sir. It wasn't the $150 Monte Cristo that I asked you for, but I do appreciate it just the same. It's the Man O' War side project Little Devil Corona. And the Man O' War line is available primarily through Cigars International. It was probably the blending of this particular line of cigars that actually brought the earliest acclaim to the now super badass blender AJ Fernandez.
That guy.
This was one of the early successes, if you will, for AJ before he launched his own lines and all of that. It's a nice looking cigar, a few bumps and veins on the chocolate brown wrapper, and a nice firm feel in the hand. The binder and wrapper tobacco on this are not disclosed, but we do know the Little Devil uses a Habano sun-grown wrapper. And knowing AJ Fernandez's fondness for Nicaraguan tobacco, I'm guessing the blend is likely all or mostly Nicaraguan. The pre-light sniff and cold draw gave me hints of earth, pepper, and some coffee bean. The pigtail cap was already kind of loose on my particular cigar, so I just used my cigar scissors to slice off the end in an even cut. And I would have to say that the first puff after lighting the Little Devil did, in fact, give me, much as I hate to admit it, a Nicaraguan pepper blast. I say this at the risk of hearing that god-awful song again, but I feel like it may be important in order to support my earlier guess about the filler tobacco being Nicaraguan.
Blowing through the filler tobacco of the cigar.
This baby was full and tasty right off the bat. The first third gave me mostly pepper and chocolate. Every time I thought I had pegged the pepper as white pepper, I would change my mind and become convinced I was using black pepper. It became as confusing as trying to figure out Michael Jackson late in his life. Either way, the pepper was pleasant and not too
Why
overpowering.
is he
and
dangling that baby over the
and
balcony?
it was the final note on the finish and in the retrohale. I'll mention I was worried the draw was going to be a little too tight from doing the pre-light draw, but once the Little Devil was lit, it opened up perfectly and the draw was absolutely spot on. Overall construction's very good as well. I smoked my way into the second third and the chocolate notes became more dominant, like chocolate cake, except not the sweetness. Deep, earthy tobacco notes swirled across my palate. I found that I was enjoying the cigar more and more as I smoked it. I picked up a little citrus zest in the final third, but the chocolate and earth were still very much in the mix, and of course the pepper was too. Now, as much as I like a peppery cigar, it is possible to overdo it. And the thing I liked most about the Man O' War side project, Little Devil, was the consistency of the pepper. It was prominent throughout, but it never turned into a pepper bomb that obscured the other flavors. This stick was about as well balanced as it gets. Construction remained rock solid all the way to the end. The overall experience was just a kick above medium to full-bodied. But once again, the flavor balance was where the cigar absolutely shined, I thought. Probably not a good cigar for the novice smoker, but if you like something with a little bit of a kick, it would be hard to go wrong with the Little Devil if your experience was anything like mine. The Man O' War side project Little Devil Corona is a $6 to $7 cigar. And as far as I'm concerned, it hits it way out of the park at that price point. It's not a big cigar, but my smoking time is still right about an hour. So this one's a hit, folks. Price to quality, 6.5.
All right. I bought it in a box.
Yeah?
It was $5.70.
No
each.
kidding. So you got it for even less. I just went and looked at what the sort of single
I think
cigar
the box
price
was 114.
for 20 cigars. Huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Well, it's impressive.
$5.70.
I don't know
each.
if you remember what you
I
said.
gave it a 7.
Wow. Okay. Well,
I gave it a 7.
You know,
That
I
had
could have
a lot
easily
to-
done that as well.
That had a lot to do with just not only the quality and the flavors that I really enjoyed on the cigar, but also the price point. Like,
I was
made
gonna say,
a big difference on that.
If I had been thinking it was 5 something, I would have probably
That's
given
a-
it a 7 as well.
Hell of a deal.
Yeah,
Hell of a
yeah, amazing. If you can find it, find it and smoke it. It was a wonderful cigar.
Yeah.
And the fact that even though it's smaller size, it lasted for about an hour. I thought was
smoked slow,
also
yeah.
also very impressive. So
smoked slow and cool and stayed lit, and
I
it did
dig it.
all those cigars.
I dig it. The question is, do you dig the tiny
So
bomb?
the first thing about it is, and you even mentioned something about the nose on this. It's delightful on the nose.
Yeah,
Like,
it
it
does
is
have-
classic beer and classic malt. It's the smell that you smell when you walk into a brewery, and you have that.
Yeah, but it's also like it makes me feel like I'm at a brewery at the beach. Like it's very tropical, very.
Yeah, it does have a little
Yeah.
tropical notes to it.
It's
kind of
really
dances on the
bright
tongue.
too,
yeah.
like right up front.
Yeah,
It's
this
super
is from
nice.
Wiseacre Brewing in Memphis, so they're a long way from the beach, but it's still got that very almost ticky vibe to it.
Yep.
Reminds me of that. What was it beer, Ian, that we had on the show that came with
The tiki,
that came with
the painkiller.
yeah, it was like a painkiller.
It was amazing.
and it came with the nut that you do
Came
the
with a
nutmeg
nutmeg.
for.
Yes.
Yeah.
So on a dongle on the beer came with a thing of nutmegs.
What?
Yeah.
And you'd use a knife to
That's
actually
really cool.
you scrape
Most
little
people
bits
would
of
use
it
a
off.
grater, but I had a pocket knife. So
Yeah.
we
That,
made
that's
do.
pretty cool.
Ian
actually.
has a pocket knife for all occasions. Yeah. Need to build a skyscraper? Ian has the pocket knife
Yes.
for that. Yeah.
MacGyver.
I think this is very good. What do you guys think?
A big fan. Yeah.
Yeah,
Big fan. It's really good.
It's really good. The finish is outrageously good too. It's got a little touch of bitter on the finish, but it's got a little touch of sweet on it as well. So
Yeah,
at least you
sweet is
kinda-
coming from somewhere.
Kind of wanting a little more. There's not a lot of
Yeah.
information on the can.
Does it
Curious
live up-
what hop they use in it.
Yeah,
for
does
that
it-
like brightness and that
Yeah.
citrus note.
Does it live
like
up to the name
Citra,
Tiny
maybe.
Bomb?
It's it's got a lot of flavor for a pilsner,
Mm-hmm.
especially. Coming in at 4.5% alcohol by volume, brewed by the good folks at Wiseacre Brewing Company in Memphis, Tennessee. And there's just not a lot of. Oh, what it does say right here. According to the Surgeon General, women should not drink alcoholic
Oh,
beverages during
good to
pregnancy
know.
because of the risk of birth defects.
I will just say,
But I mean, so
think
that's
you're,
about all the information that's on there.
I think you're right. I think it's either Citra or maybe Mosaic hops.
I was thinking that
Yeah,
too.
but Mosaic
It's
can be
very
a little
tropical.
funkier,
Yeah.
and it seems to be tropical without being too funky. So I don't know. It's good. It's really good. That would be one to
Gorgeous.
stock up on.
Good
Yeah.
job. And
Yeah.
the can's rather beautiful as well.
Yeah.
It's
it-
got this.
well, and it gives you a
looks
little bit
like
of a
an
tropical vibe
explosion
too.
in the middle of happening here.
Yeah, an explosion of happiness is what I would call
Right,
it.
some smoke going on there.
And doesn't the bomb kind of look like a pineapple to just
I would
further
say,
the?
maybe they
the
did that
tropical
too.
thing?
Maybe the tropical,
Actually, yeah.
or maybe like a hops.
Yeah,
Either or.
I kind of dig that. So, all right, now ordinarily we don't get into one of the whiskeys this early, but we have a few minutes left in this segment, and
We do.
I'm thirsty, and so I'm just wondering, would we want to start with one of the whiskeys, and if so, which one?
Well, yeah, because this is a short one that we
Yeah, I
have
feel like-
left. So
I feel like this will be lighter too.
Wow,
this-
this is a better show than I even thought. There was 2 whiskeys sitting in front of me, and then all of a sudden he
what
just
happens.
pulls out another
I
whiskey
know.
and says, "We're going to start with this one." Whoa!
If anyone wonders
Whoa.
why we have Roberto back on the show as
Yeah.
often as we do,
Yeah.
it's these kind of things that make him such a welcome guest.
Also, his rock star good looks. I mean, these two today, I have them in the same frame, and,
Yeah.
and they look like we're interviewing, like, a rock band
Yeah.
from the 80s.
Stop it. No, so this is a
Bon
beautiful,
Journey.
beautiful burbon from Penelope.
Toto.
Say that again.
This is a beautiful bourbon from Penelope. I did
Penelope?
a review not so long ago. This bourbon is finished in Tokaji casks.
What is Tokaji?
Yeah.
So Tokaji It's a very interesting wine that is produced in the border between Slovakia and Hungary.
cool.
And what they actually want in this grape is to develop that noble rot, the illness that the grapes get,
Wow.
because they need that. And they let them dry completely so they can get that natural sweetness. So let's have some.
I love that. That's one of my favorite phrases. Let's have some.
Let's have some. I could keep talking, but we could just have some. And
Yeah,
you know
no,
what I'm saying.
I don't want to overwhelm you guys with
Yeah.
all that information. Information.
Oh, I think I'm short one, Glencairn. I'll get one, another one during the break. But this looks wonderful. So where did you come across this? Because this is not a brand I'm familiar with.
So Penelope is a really good brand that they make really cool stuff, and they have this series that is the Cooper series, and they come out with different. This is the Tokaji one. They have another one called Rio, which is finished in Amarana cask, Brazilian. They have the Rosé.
The Valencia, Spanish orange wine casks.
These
Oh,
are
nice.
super hard to find, and they come out in seasons. So this is last season, so this is not available anymore.
In other words, when you see Penelope, it's going to come in. I think most of them come in what, $60 to $70. I think.
no, this one was about $90.
Oh, this one's a little more. Okay, gotcha.
yeah, and
Some of
this
their
is,
baseline stuff
Where's it made?
does
Right.
Wow.
right at that 60-70 mark, but some of their specialty
This
stuff
is-
like
Gotcha.
this
It goes
comes-
up a little more.
This is so fruity. Like it's got just this
crazy. And the nose-
really fruity.
I haven't even gotten
mouthfeel.
into drinking it. I'm just smelling it.
Yeah, it's
It's really
wonderful.
interesting. So this one was one of my favorite ones that I've had from them. I mean, the Rio too.
If I
But-
smelled like this at all times, people would be my friend. I would probably attract bees too. But
What's interesting
Until you got
about
pulled over.
Damn.
so this is a rye, right? It doesn't have that level of rye spice that I'm
No.
accustomed to
And I
with
said bourbon at
ryes.
the beginning, but this is one of the rye.
Yeah,
it hasn't. So the rye spice tends to come back. I think a little after you take that initial swallow on the palate. It comes back just a little bit with the whiskey hug, which is gentle, a super gentle whiskey hug, and it's such a warm tasting thing. There's like cinnamon right up front, and a little bit of bubble gum and a little bit of spice.
I taste that.
One of the
bubble gum.
things that I find very interesting about this bourbon and that rye that you don't normally find is the. I don't know if you guys have noticed it, but it has a minty spearmint kind of note.
Yeah, I do get
That's
that on
like in the
on some
retro hail,
ryes.
especially.
Yeah.
right.
There's
So
also a very woody, very very woody like astringency to it that
so
I really like.
Roberto, you were saying that this
Like new oakish.
this
almost.
bottle
Not
obviously
overly
is-
tannic, but it's got enough there.
you were saying that this bottle is not available anymore, but they do they release seasonally? How do their releases come out?
I think it's every year. Is it every year? You remember, David?
I don't remember.
This is
offhand.
very exploratory for them, and
Yeah, it's
I-
very different.
and they do what I know is that they've been released probably once a year, and this one was because it normally says when this doesn't but I think this one was the first. No, this is the second one because they released the first one at a different age statement, and this one is 8 year.
So this is interesting because it has such a nice big round mouth feel. Like it really has that oiliness that coats the palate a little bit, but it's also a little bit delicate.
Yeah,
As weird as
Yeah.
that sounds for a rye whiskey, it's got a little bit of delicacy.
because you don't think of rye whiskey as being delicate.
Right, yeah,
You think of it
usually
being
it's a
big
little
and bold,
bludgeoning, right?
Yeah, big and bold and
And-
kind of in your face.
Think about this is 53 ABV, and it
Oh.
drinks so
There's
smooth.
almost a rose petal kind of floral note to it as well that I pick up. Just a little bit, especially again in the retro hail. I don't really notice it as
Little bit
much
of
on the nose, but
And definitely, since you mentioned it, I'm totally getting that Tops bubblegum.
Yeah.
You know those
straight up.
flat
Yeah. Like
sticks
the
of
powdery
bubblegum.
flat
yes,
stick of
yes,
bubble gum.
totally.
You know, I really got that. That was one of those from the first time I was like, that's the bubble gum.
Yeah,
That's Ian's bubble gum.
That's why I love bringing stuff like this here because I know it's gonna be friends that I need to do these things with my friends from.
We have a saying here on Smoking and Toasting, which is, if you bring whiskey, we'll drink it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. All right, we got to take a break. We'll be right back.
We stick to that,
More
too.
to come and more to taste. It's Smoking and Toasting. Welcome back, my friends, to episode number 387 of Smokin' and Toastin'. That was nice. All sound effects here on Smokin' and Toastin' are created naturally and done live in the studio because we have no budget for recorded sound effects.
Well, we don't want to cheap the customer. So, like when we do the sound of opening a beer, we won't try to make it authentic and open actual beer.
That's right.
So we sacrifice a beer every time you hear that, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
We are sacrificing a beer.
And that's how committed we are to the whole sound effect thing.
It is more fun that
and
way.
we appreciate it. Our guests are our good friend Roberto Rivas Villar and David Fowler, who's from Reserve 101, which I have to say is one of the coolest whiskey bars anywhere. They don't just have whiskey, but they kind of specialize in whiskey, don't
Oh
you?
yeah. Do great cocktails too.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
I'm starting to
amazing.
see that this guy's general knowledge in whiskey is pretty amazing.
We talked about this on the show last week, but it was at your place that Ian and I both discovered Slane Irish whiskey.
Oh, yeah,
which
yeah.
is inexpensive and wonderful, and
Great.
and it was one of your bartenders that
Great
hipped us
stuff.
to it.
Yeah,
It was
nice.
awesome.
Yeah,
It
we
was
like
awesome.
featuring some of the obscure stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
love it. You mentioned just after we went to break, and I wanted to ask you to maybe repeat it, something very interesting about this Penelope, this whiskey brand that we just enjoyed their Tokaji cask finish rye.
Oh yeah.
Tell me again what you
They
said.
used to source everything from MGP,
Yeah.
which is out of Indiana. They
A lot of
MG
places source from
MGP is
there.
A lot
a
of
giant
fledgling-
company that,
Yeah.
that makes a ton of whiskey. And they make great whiskey,
Oh, yeah.
too.
Yeah.
a lot of fledgling distilleries will use them till they
So
get their feet
Penelope, when
down.
they were getting started, they were sourcing the whiskey from MGP.
and MGP liked what they were doing so much that they ended up buying them.
Wow.
So now they have access to everything. So
Yeah.
I'm super excited about
That's
a lot of the
pretty
stuff that
amazing.
they
Now
have coming down
Penelope
the
is
pipe.
like
And
the
just
world has opened
For those,
up,
for
right?
those of you listening, that sourcing whiskey, like if you're starting a whiskey company, you can't come out with a 4-year aged whiskey the first year you have
Exactly.
whiskey. So
Right.
you have to, what a lot of companies do is they source the whiskey. They go find a whiskey that they like, and then they take it and they buy it, and then they barrel age it themselves to give it their own character,
Yeah.
and then that's how they get started with it.
And this is absolutely
With a lot of times the end goal of, okay, we've got whiskey that we've made put away.
Right, it's
It will
aging
eventually,
now.
once
Yeah.
it's 4
Sure.
years or
Sure,
however
absolutely.
old.
well. I'll tell you, this is absolutely wonderful, and it's
pretty
one of
outrageous.
the more unique whiskeys I
Oh,
think
yeah.
that I've ever tried.
Oh, a lot of
Yeah.
what they do so far is really unique.
Mm.
I like a lot of the distilleries that, especially the ones that source that do really cool barrel finishes and blending and stuff.
Now, normally ryes and IPAs go together really well. This is a very different rye, so I'm not sure if we're going to have the same luck with this
Yeah.
or not.
This is a sweeter rye, I think, than
Yes.
what you expect when you think rye. It's a little bit sweeter than you expect,
But we have
and the spice is on the back end of it, so it's interesting.
Ian has just poured an IPA. It is a double dry hopped double IPA from Blackstack Brewing in St. Paul, Minnesota. It's called Mommy Dearest, and let's see whether it fights the whiskey or joins
buddy.
into a partnership.
Or it beats it like Mommy Dearest.
This is you were the
Sorry.
no more wire hangers.
Ooh.
I just did that. Sorry. This is absolutely fantastic
One
together.
of the best pairings I've had.
This is so
Wow.
good.
Yeah, it's insane.
Not only is the
good.
IPA that good, but look how well it goes with that whiskey.
It's like they
It
were meant
really
for each other.
does. And I wasn't sure if it would, because normally it's the spiciness of the rye that
Kills it.
seems to work with the IPA. In this case, this is a less spicy
Yeah.
and more almost fruity kind of a rye.
And I feel
but
like
it
the
works
beer,
wonderfully.
Wow.
the beer is bringing a lot of toffee notes in it, like tough. Yeah,
And it's not super dank and not super bitter on the
Right.
hop level on this
Man,
double.
these,
So
these form like
it's-
Voltron, and I'm
Yeah.
not talking about
Yeah.
the cars. I'm talking about the cool lions. You know what I mean? Like that's,
Yeah, it's important.
awesome.
It's important to differentiate. By the
yeah.
way,
Oh yeah. I don't want you to think cars because that was awkward.
I'm telling you, this is something special. This makes me kind of sad that people cannot go out and buy this whiskey right now in order to be able to do this on their own, because
So,
this is something everyone should
On
experience.
this beer is some Milky Merc for all the moms and mom figures out there from your friends at the stack. Brewed with love, carrying in hefty portions of her hand-selected Citric, Cashmere, Azaka, Sabro, and Sabro Cryo. Keep calm, carry everyone else's weight, and learn to live, love, and laugh with it.
Love that. I
It
love
is.
that.
It's really.
It's
fun.
also an interesting combination of hops. It's not just like Citra and Mosaic, the ones that you kind of expect
Yeah,
for something like this.
everybody's kind of doing
Yeah,
now.
I
so.
don't.
Yeah.
I don't know if a lot of if a lot of IPA drinkers will understand how malt forward this one actually
Yeah.
is. It's very malt forward, and then it finishes with that beautiful IPA, citrusy.
But it's juicy too.
Yeah.
I will just mention that when you go back to the whiskey after this, it kind of amplifies the bubble gum. It just feels like that.
It amplifies it even
right
on
away.
the, even on the,
the moment
nose.
that it touches my palate.
Right. You get that. That I'm going to look through the cards in a minute, but right now I'm going to chew on this stick of gum that's going to break as soon as I chomp down on it. That moment, you know.
Yeah.
These are so amazing together. Actually, beautiful beer, beautiful whiskey. It's hard to go
Almost.
wrong here.
This is going to sound ridiculous, but I almost get a little chocolate when I go back to the beer. Am I nuts? Am I just imagining that?
No, you're not. Actually, you're not. And it's like dark chocolate kind of.
I don't know if I've ever gotten chocolate from a beer before. Get it plenty of times from
an IPA,
rum or something like that. But yeah, from an IPA.
Yeah,
I
from
don't know
an
if I've
IPA.
ever gotten chocolate from an IPA.
That's
This is delicious.
incredibly
by the way.
interesting.
Just
It
delicious.
brings out a brightness in the IPA that's really interesting. The flavors kind of wrap around each other and really work well together.
You know, before we wrap up the segment, I had to bring this up to you because it falls under the headline that we sometimes bring here on the show of celebrity beers we didn't necessarily need. Wrestling legend Hulk Hogan is entering the beverage ring, launching Real America beer.
Okay, I'm kind of behind that because
Yeah.
Hulk Hogan. Come on.
Yeah.
But why do you
Yeah,
call
brother.
it? Why do you call it?
brother.
Why do you call it Real America? Why did you just call it Brother?
I'm telling you, Mean Gene.
I've been
Anybody
interviewing.
remember Mean Gene Okerlund? Come on.
I've been fortunate enough to interview Hulk Hogan
Oh, my
many
gosh.
years ago. And during that interview, not only was he just as enthusiastic as you would imagine, but and I went back and listened to the tape. He called me brother 37 times in the interview.
And the whole
feel like
time
that
you were
tracks.
staring at his mustache, swishing back and
as it
forth.
swayed back and forth as he spoke. But yeah, he's released Real American beer, and I
I
just
mean, I
have
would
to.
be captivated.
I just have to show. I'll show this to the camera. This is an ad for Real American beer, but you just kind of have to love the Hulkster on the top of the can there with the flag.
I can
It
see
has
him in his
prime.
music video where
Yeah.
he's
Oh,
like
yeah.
playing the guitar and they're showing him over the Grand Canyon and stuff
Oh,
like
my
that. You know,
goodness.
very American
Like he's-
things.
like
Hey,
he's
go
Jared
Hulk
Leto.
Hogan, man. I'm for it. I
There
can't
he
wait to
is.
try it.
Right.
Hulk Hogan Real American beer. There it is.
Have to try this now.
I need to find.
I think some of those muscles aren't real muscles.
Yeah, I don't think it's. Yeah, it's like when you're reading a Superman comic. Like there's
Where the bulging muscles are, I don't think people actually have
Yeah,
those.
even if it's Superman, I don't think anyone has 16 abs.
I
You
need
know?
to find a video, but there's a video that I saw of him promoting it at a Walmart, doing a whole presentation, like
Yeah?
in a stand, kind of, oh, yeah, brother. No, like it was hilarious.
Like in
Inside
full,
of Walmart.
in full Hulk Hogan effect, right?
Yeah.
What you got to love about him is that he's always in character.
He's
Did
always
you,
Yeah.
Hulk Hogan.
Did you see his reality show? Always in
Always, yeah.
character. Yeah. All right, we got to take a break. We'll be right back. It's Smoking and Toasting, and thank you for listening, brother. Welcome back. It's Smoking and Toasting. Our program is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. We've enjoyed talking about all of those things so far. But
Also,
one-
that guitar tone, which is particularly good.
yeah, the tone is terrific. The guitar is a little flat, I think, in the beginning of that, and maybe just slightly out of tune. I don't know. But anyway, we'll get to that.
Say things to her.
I do. So, one of the things we've been doing here on the program lately that has caused a bit of a stir among several people that are not related to me. We will do it once again. So, Terry, our announcer, is ready.
And now it's time for another smoking and toasting drinking fact.
That is the most wonderful and cheesy fanfare I've ever heard. Isn't it
I
great?
want a little more delay and reverb
Oh
on that.
yeah,
thing.
yeah, that's
great.
yeah. I didn't hit the button.
Can we do that one more time with
Yeah,
the
let's
delay
just
in the
start
button?
again from the top.
That was the let's
From
see,
the
which,
top.
which
Go.
button was I supposed to hit? Was that the?
You know what would be really good? One of those
That's already
megaphones.
on. You
Yeah,
just have to
that's
roll
right.
you have to roll it up.
I have one of those actually. So I live right by Discovery Green, and
Oh, nice.
sometimes there's down in Discovery Green, especially on a really nice night, there'll be families out there, enjoying time with their kids and stuff. And there's this street preacher who comes over with a megaphone and starts like telling them how they're all going to hell and
Yeah.
stuff. So I asked my wife for Christmas to get
For a
me
megaphone?
a megaphone, and so I'm going to go down and do megaphone battles with the street preacher.
Repent
I
of
have
all
it.
your sins.
No, all I'm going to do is just go down and go, oh, hey, it's megaphone night. Awesome. I don't really know how to work mine. That's my plan. We'll see how it goes. In the meantime, let's start it over again.
Wait, no. Which button is it? It's the.
Oh.
I thought.
Oh, I'd have to walk over there and show 'em.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
next
at
time.
least do it one more time.
Okay, I'll do
Because
it
I
one more
got to get
time.
to the
That's-
drinking fact.
Okay, we'll get.
Roll that last fader up.
Professional show, ladies and gentlemen.
Got to get back on track with this.
Oh,
There you
Yeah.
go.
there. That's a lot of fun.
All right, let's do this.
And now it's time for another smoking and toasting drinking fact.
Yeah.
That was the fader.
The builders of the Giza pyramids were given a daily beer ration of 1 1/3 gallons.
Damn. That's a good ration.
And the deceased were sometimes buried with alcoholic beverages for use in the afterlife. But I want to
surprised they got
focus
it
you
built.
on 1 1/3 gallons.
Can we talk about how the end of the day building was going versus the beginning of the day building?
I mean,
You know those smaller pyramids? They were supposed to be bigger. It just didn't wind up happening.
So it's funny because while that's all 100% true, they were using something closer to a near beer. It was not.
Yeah.
It was not like a big heavy beer.
But still, I love the fact that.
But everyone drank beer. Kids.
Yes, they
drank
just-
beer.
Everybody.
I love
Adults
that-
drank beer.
I love that the
Women and
deceased were
children,
sometimes
as they
buried
should.
with
Elders.
alcoholic beverages for use in the afterlife. I love that. Yeah. That's
different
right.
times,
For use
different
and- yeah.
intentions,
They say-
different everything.
They say you can't take it with you when you go, but I'm hanging on to this Reserva de la Familia and taking that with me if it's at all possible, my friend.
All right. Listen, guys. When I go, I want you to just pour a little out for me, and then drink it.
Yeah.
All right. Enjoy it.
Yeah. Don't pour too much out. Drink most of it.
This is getting pretty tetric.
Yeah, well, it is what it is. We have poured some more
This
whiskey
smells
that has come to us from Reserve 101. And yes, David, you brought something
So-
here that's just completely different from what we had before. I'm already picking up peat on the nose.
yeah.
And this is what?
From Compass Box. It's a blending house based out of London. They source juice from all over Scotland. It's cool because they'll conceptualize like flavor profiles and really seek out the stuff that they're trying to use to
And is
make
this-
those blends.
How are you? Is this just something that you guys have, or is this something you're involved in some way?
This is just a barrel pick of ours from them
Okay.
currently, but we're in talks with Compass Box about making our own whiskey.
Your own Reserve
Yeah.
101 whiskey. I love the name
Which
of the bar, by the way.
they've done for a few bars around the country. We're one of two, I think, in the world that are getting one. Typically, they're only available in the markets that the bar is in. So, like Delilah's in Chicago,
Right.
Really well known, like punk rock whiskey bar.
I love
They
the
have their
concept
own.
of a punk rock whiskey bar.
Oh yeah, me too.
Yeah. You guys are not a punk rock whiskey
Oh, it's
bar.
basically if us and Dirt Bar next door to us
I was
had
just
a
about
baby,
to
that
say,
would be
if
Delilah.
you guys
so.
merged,
You just
you
gotta,
would
you just
be
gotta
a
break.
punk
You
rock.
just gotta break a doorway between you guys.
Yeah,
right?
No,
exactly.
what you guys don't know that they're a closet punk rock whiskey bar.
Oh, okay.
So
That's what
Dirt
it
Bar
is.
right next to you guys is funny because that's designed to be about as divey as it gets.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And it is.
It's a
They
fantastic
do
bar,
it.
though, man.
You
I
don't
love that
name
place.
yourself Dirt Bar if you're going for the.
I remember when Dirt Bar was over off of Watt Drive, I think it was. Wasn't it?
Yeah, they were up in the Heights.
Yeah,
for
they
quite
were
a
over off
while.
of Watt. I remember the original Dirt Bar, and boy, was it dirty.
Yeah.
But then they moved downtown. And Dirt Bar is an interesting place because, like, it's a good hang in Houston, and it's right there across the street from House of Blues.
Yeah, it is.
It's
Kill
walking
some
distance
time
from
there.
a bunch of other places, and
you know
it's a
what?
good dive.
And you know what? That bar and Reserve 101 are not in any way owned by or associated with Live Nation, which makes me want to give them my money
Yeah.
as opposed to spending it across the street at the House of Blues.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where a hopadillo is $48.
Oh, jeez.
So I'm just saying.
can't do it.
This is a really interesting
This is
and
exquisite.
very peaty, very interesting. I'm just curious. I think of more peated whiskeys as being
This
more specialized, like having a narrower group of people who are really, really into them. What made you decide to do this for your specific
well, I mean, the
barrel pick?
baseline Glasgow, it's 5 different juices from around Scotland,
This-
mostly Highlands. There's, I think, 18% of the blend is Lefroy. So that's where the
Okay.
peatiness
okay, so the
and that, some of that
peaty
smoke
definitely
comes
Lefroy,
from.
but there's also a very
It's very fruity too.
Isle of Skye, like Talisker, like sweetness to it.
Yeah,
very
there's a
fruity
couple sherry
sweet.
Finishes on it.
Yeah, you
and
can
then
pull
with
that
the
sherry out
Highlands,
for sure.
And the
they're-
Highland, okay,
they
you get a
definitely
little
don't
fruit,
peat. You
too.
get a lot
Yeah.
of more
So
fruit
it's
notes and
crazy
stuff from
because
them.
I'm getting peat and fruit in the same glass, which is usually not happening. Usually you get peaty
Right.
and then you get variations of peat, but you also get like the on the shore kind of salty peatiness.
Yeah.
Or you get the
island
more
malt
smoky peatiness, those kind of things. And this is not doing that at all. This is incredibly complex. It's
And I feel like this is super approachable if somebody wants to get a little more into smoke and peat.
Yeah.
Right,
It's like,
it is more
it's like a
approachable.
good step into instead
Right.
of diving
It's not like
right
getting
into a
a
Lagavulin
or a
something
Lefroy
like that.
16 or something. Yes, absolutely. And
I may have introduced you to Lefroy with the Gorgeous.
I believe you did. And it was early on in the show, and I was
That's going right in the deep end.
I was nowhere near prepared for peated whiskey at that
Yeah.
time because I was more a rum and a tequila guy and just really learning whiskey. And you brought that Lefroy in and just blew my mind. I was
Yeah,
like,
it's
I
very
have
different.
so much to learn here, you know. But it's interesting. Am I right about this label on the bottle? Shows a statue of a guy on a horse, and he's got a traffic cone on his head.
Oh
Is
yeah,
that
yeah.
what that is? What is that about?
So
It does.
It's supposed to show that Glasgonians, I think that's what they call themselves, have a sense of humor. So this is a statue that's in like the main square,
Right, in
and
Glasgow,
it literally it has a traffic cone.
Oh,
on,
it literally
on
does
yeah,
on the
yeah,
statue
yeah,
itself. It's
definitely.
not just
Yeah.
depicted that way on the thing.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so it's a
because-
very austere-looking statue
Well, I would say
with a
this.
traffic cone on his head.
I would say this: if you are interested in getting into peated whiskeys,
Oh, this is
This
a
is
great
a
step.
wonderful
Yeah,
first step.
perfect.
definitely.
Yeah,
yeah,
Because there's
because
some
it's-
sweetness and there's some
right,
fruit behind
some
it. It's
fruit, some
interesting.
almost like you almost get that sherry cask kind of vibe to the
There's
whiskey.
a touch, just a touch, like on the very end of the palate. There's a touch of salt air in it too. That's really.
Oh yeah, that might be the coastal Highland.
Yeah, there's a little
Cleanlish. So
salinity
Cleanlish
to it
is
that's
another
so
one
good.
that makes up probably a good 18 to 20% of the overall blend.
The nose on this is
Just
amazing.
that minerality, that last sort of gasp on your palate there.
And it's crazy with all the smoke. I get a lot of red, so like red fruits
Yeah.
and stuff is what I.
The red
what I'm
fruits are
picking up.
very
It's
dominating.
like berries and
So
strawberries.
this
specifically.
is a
I
barrel
could even
pick.
go with a little kiss of apple in there, even. Yeah.
So this is a barrel pick. Where did you guys go to choose this barrel?
This one they actually brought us samples of a couple different
And you said
variations that they do.
That
They do
one.
one called the Artist Blend that is super heavy sherry. We ended up picking this one, and for this one specifically, that differentiates this Glasgow blend from others is 16 extra months in ex-bourbon casks.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
and
that's
you can
what make
you
ours-
can
that's what
feel
makes
a
ours
little.
ours.
You can sense a little bit of that matured in the bourbon cask vibe because it's not just this super peaty whiskey, although the peat is definitely there, but it's got just that a little bit more of a roundness
Like
to
a
it.
like a maple or brown
yes.
sugary kind of
Thank you.
thing going
Yeah.
on slightly. in
That's
the
what I was
back.
trying to say. Yes.
This
and
is exquisite. This is so many things going on. in
yeah.
this.
What is this? When I come into Reserve 101 and order a glass of this, what are we talking about? Retail price?
We charge, I think it's like 8 to 10 an ounce
dude,
on
that's-
this, so
that's
it's
so
like super
worth it.
affordable.
But you
It's
guys-
easy.
So worth it.
But
yeah.
you guys also have a special on Sundays.
Oh yeah, single barrel Sunday. So
Hell yeah.
every Sunday,
Single
all of our
barrel
whiskey barrel picks are $6 an ounce.
That way I
and
can
we
tell my wife
have-
I'm going up for singles night.
We have quite a few fantastic barrel picks, so it's definitely worth worth coming in and
So,
grabbing
and you'll
a
hold the
piece.
table for us for the Smoking and
Oh,
Toast and
every
staff
time,
meeting
just give
on
me a
Sunday
heads
night,
up.
right? Yeah, okay,
Oh
good.
my
good.
goodness.
We
Good,
we
yeah.
love hanging out over there. David Fowler has been a good friend of mine for quite a little bit already, and we love hanging over there. And
Well, so
It's,
when
it's a fun hang, and they do have an outdoor area.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
it's
you
a
can
little,
smoke cigars
it's a
on
little
the
warm,
on
but
the
you can do it.
table.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
allow cigars on the patio, so I mean, and this pairs very well.
yeah.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
imagine. So when I met David, this was just a month ago,
Yeah.
or a little less. We got to chatting, and he was talking about because I said, you know, I have my wife actually went in and started chatting with him first, as she tends to do.
Well, what's
She's-
it like to that guy? That's the
She
guy.
is an ambassador for the show.
She
your wife,
100%. Well, she has this knack of sitting there and watching the bar for a minute and going, "That's the guy," and she immediately like pegged you. She's like, "That's the guy," and then she started talking to you. And then when I came in, she's like, "You got to meet this guy," and we started talking. And she mentioned the podcast, and you're like, "Oh, well, I've done." Like some Instagram things with this other guy named Rob, and I was like, I may know him.
That's cool. That's
I
absolutely
see
cool.
him on my back patio all the time.
Yes, worlds collide.
Right?
That's so awesome.
Knocking on my door saying, "Got any whiskey?"
That's
Which
normally
I-
how it starts.
I imagine. I
Never a
imagine
problem.
that you do. Yes, exactly.
Never a problem.
Well, this is wonderful, and I just want to stress this again because when this show started, I was absolutely new to any concept of peated whiskey, and this would be a wonderful first step
It would
for
be
anyone
amazing,
who
yeah,
finds
definitely.
himself like me. If you go, yeah, I don't know about this peated whiskey.
This
thing,"
has such a
but there's something to
beautiful kiss of
appreciate.
peat
And
to
I
it.
feel like this would be great in so many cocktails. Like
Oh,
imagine,
I love mixing
dude,
with this.
If you were doing
in
like
any kind of
something
Scotch cocktail,
a little
anything.
smoking, yeah. I
Just
love
to
it.
add a little bit of the smoke to it.
like I'm a big, one of my favorite things to do. It's gonna sound weird, but I like Godfathers. But I like smoky
Pizza?
Godfathers.
Oh, it makes a really
Oh,
good Godfather.
That would be
I
a
thought you
great
meant Godfather's
Godfather.
Pizza. or something.
Oh, dude, who remembers that?
No,
place?
we're talking
That
We're talking
was
about the drink
awesome.
Godfather.
Yeah. Godfathers was from back in the era
Godfather's
when you
Pizza.
had HBO, but you had to sit and wait for a movie that you wanted to watch.
We'll deliver it in 15 minutes or whenever.
Yeah.
Whenever.
That's all right, because I got 45 minutes to go before Back to the Future
The
3.
downside of this whiskey is it's very evaporative. Like my glass.
You seem to be losing something.
It has emptied
there.
so
Yeah.
fast. Like,
Yeah.
what is going on?
Yeah, very evaporative is probably the operable term. All right, we still got more to do, including drinking news coming up. This is Smoking and Toasting, enjoying and drinking and talking whiskey with Reserve 101. We'll be right back.
I love this thing.
Welcome back. It is Smoking and Toasting. Our program is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. Little bumper music from the Suffers there.
I love that band.
They're so good.
Man, they're awesome.
So much fun to see, too. Just absolutely wonderful. So Ian is pouring some stout that looks, if possible, blacker than motor oil.
Looks like my soul.
It is from Martin House. We'll get to that in a moment. But I have some more sad news. We had sad news earlier about Kinky
Sad
Friedman.
news?
I have more sad news. Cascade
damn.
Brewing in Ohio is shutting down. And that's a really sad one. We've had Cascade's beers. They make really wonderful sours and some other things. We've had their beers numerous times here on the program. And I'm just so, there are still new breweries opening everywhere. There are breweries shutting down everywhere. A lot of times I don't mention them on the show just simply because it's not a brewery we've talked about before. But Cascade we certainly have, and we've had their beers, and so I'm bummed to see them.
Yeah, sorry to hear that.
To see them shutting down. And it's happening a lot. I mean, we've seen closures here in our own home market. We've seen closures of places that
Well,
we never thought would close.
and-
But the good news is Anchor is coming back.
Anchor is coming back. There's a lot of reasons they close.
Damn.
Sometimes the management isn't there.
Right.
Sometimes financially you
Sometimes-
lost more than you made,
Yeah,
and you just
sometimes
can't
they're
make
just
it up,
over
even if your
leveraged.
product
Yeah.
is amazing.
Like a Genius. Those guys
Yeah.
made incredible beers. So one with Ingenious gone, one brewery we are thrilled still exists is Martin House.
Oh my
And we're
gosh, have you smelled this?
Not
Shaved
yet, but I'm
coconut.
about to.
Man.
We're
Shaved coconut
about
right
to
away.
try this. Ian, show that box
This-
to.
well,
the
okay, so
camera.
I have a friend of mine that he literally collects just this for the artwork,
Oh yeah.
and it's
This
amazing.
is like
and it goes
shaved
around
coconut right away on
three-quarters
the
of the way
nose.
around
Yeah.
box.
Yeah.
And they're so beautiful.
Oh my
Very-
God.
very-
A
Gorgeous.
rum barrel aged imperial stout with cherries and coconut.
Okay, so
God
you pick
damn.
up the cherries and coconut right away.
You know where you get the
on
cherries?
the nose.
The cherries went like right in the middle of your palate, just and then the back you
The
start getting
outside of the cheeks right there, yeah.
You start getting the
Now,
tart cherry.
You've already taken a sip, or are you talking about
I did
just on the
already.
nose? Okay.
Sorry, I apologize, guys.
we call that
all
we call that research. We're good. Columbiana is a rum barrel aged
Wow.
imperial stout with cherries and coconut. She is our
Cherry.
first fruited imperial stout and is brewed with massive amounts of flaked coconut. That's super obvious.
So yeah, but think about that. Their first fruited imperial stout, and these guys are very
is
experimental. They've done a lot of
amazing.
stuff. Yeah, it really is.
and is brewed with massive amounts of flaked coconut and sweet cherry puree. The fruit really sets this brew apart from the other barrel aged stouts, Acheron, Cocytus, and Erebus. We aged
Whatever.
Columbiana for 4 months in Columbiana. It's easy for me to say, right? We aged Columbiana for 4 months in Colombian rum barrels. The result is a 12.8% beer that has the traditional characteristics of a stout, while the rum adds a caramel and molasses-like
Totally,
aspect that
totally,
mixes with
yeah.
the fruit to create a complex and delicious dessert brew.
So
I would drink this floating down the river. It does not have to be a dessert brew.
It
I would
actually
drink this
is.
anytime.
It actually is surprisingly easy to drink, like for something that's got that much stoutness to it, if you will.
This-
Something barrel aged too,
This beer is
especially for a stout.
100% unblended, meaning that every drop you taste is uncut and straight from the barrel. We hope you enjoy this exotic treat.
I love this.
That's
So,
fantastic.
Ian, make sure you show the camera before we wrap up the break here. That's what the box looked like, and then it has two of these cans.
So it says more
inside
beer
it.
than a bomber. Historically, most barrel-aged beers you'll find are available in glass bottle format called a bomber. While a bomber might look fancy, it offers very little advantage when compared to cans. Cans are easily portable, more recyclable, and also block out harmful light rays. Most importantly, you get 2 extra ounces in this box than you would get in a traditional bomber, and this box contains 2 12-ounce cans. So enjoy one now and give another to a friend. You could also cellar this beer in a nice, cool spot. Drink up. Cheers to the future of barrel-aged beers.
I love it.
Nice.
Absolutely love it. And by the way, we'll talk a little bit about cans versus bottles again when we come back. Plus, it's time for drinking news. You are listening to and watching.
So good.
Smoking and toasting. Oh, it's delicious. Nice. That was expertly done. Thank you. Wow. Welcome back. It's Smoking and Toasting. It's show number 387, and our program is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. We got a lot to get to in this segment, so let's go ahead and move on to our most popular part of the program. It's something where we bring you a story that is possibly, sometimes, maybe even often, about drinking. But even when it's not, it's always best enjoyed if you've been drinking. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for drinking news.
Drinking news, drinking news. Now it's time for drinking news. A Florida man with one arm said he had a gator for a pet. When asked about his absent arm, he said,
I had to take my gator to the vet.
Ooh, I like that.
drinking news, drinking news. Now it's time for drinking news.
Cheers, y'all. Well, I certainly am glad that I have been drinking, and that I hope you
well
have
as
been
that.
too, because it could help as we turn our attention to today's drinking news story, where we take another break from recounting the adventures of Florida Man and even his cousins and relatives who live elsewhere, and dive into the world of magic and mysticism, specifically fortune tellers and psychics. As some of you may know, my background is in broadcast radio, and I spent many of my radio years hosting morning shows. And one of the things we did from time to time on my show, which was a really good attention getter that seemed to help in the ratings, was it always made for excellent content. We would invite a self-proclaimed psychic onto the show, And then we take calls.
Did they know you were going to invite them on the show?
I think they did, yes. Then we take calls from listeners who wanted answers to questions about things that were going on in their lives.
I just called you because I felt.
Real or bogus, it was interesting
Nice.
radio.
Yes.
On a couple of occasions, one of our guest psychics would invite me to do a complimentary reading with them afterward to thank me for the free publicity that they gained by being on the air. Among the things that were predicted for me were that I would ultimately wind up on the West Coast. That didn't happen, although I did live in California for 10 months and got the hell out of there in a rented U-Haul the day the Rodney King riots happened. That's true, by the way.
Scary.
I was also supposed to meet a wise, white-haired, Yoda-type mentor that would guide me in my career.
I don't have white hair, but I feel like
Happened, that did not.
white hair is metaphorical in this case.
Happened, that did not. I was told I was definitely...
You sure that wasn't Pat?
I'm sure. I was told I was definitely getting a job I applied for and really wanted in Chicago. Not only did I not get it, but the manager who I interviewed with accused me of trying to bribe him because I sent a couple of boxes of Krispy Kreme donuts to his office as a thank you for the interview. And that is true as well.
That's a bribe?
Yeah, he accused me of trying to bribe him.
That's just a cool thanks for letting me hang out, right?
Didn't get the job like I was prophesied.
He obviously
That I
didn't eat
would.
the donuts.
I was even told that the woman, who is now my ex-wife, was absolutely, totally, and completely the one for me and that we would be together for the rest of our lives. Needless to say, that one was ever so slightly completely false. Hundreds, if not thousands, of psychics pick the winner in the presidential election every 4 years and are wrong. And yet, many people swear by the integrity of the psychics they consult.
Hold on. I want to point out that so does the weatherman.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I mean, people still watch that guy, too.
If there is such a thing as reincarnation, I want to come back as a weatherman because it's the only job in the world where you don't even have to be right and you get to keep your job.
Yeah.
Yeah. Still,
You can say things like Doppler 3000.
Still, many people swear by the integrity of the psychics they consult, conveniently looking past the incorrect predictions and using any that actually happen, like maybe a promotion at work they wind up getting, as proof of the magical powers of the soothsayer they're going to.
Or
Still,
delusion. But go ahead.
the psychic business thrives in our culture, and some of its practitioners are even more brazen in how they separate you from your money.
Are you talking about Mistress Cleo?
Like in this week's story about a Canadian woman
Canadian woman.
named Marie Jean, who turned to a Toronto psychic after she'd
Hey.
been forced to sell her home and subsequently fell into a deep depression. She saw a sign at a psychic's place of business that said, "From divorce to depression, any problem solved within 24 hours."
Solved.
Solved
Even.
within 24 hours. So she went to the fake mystic, a self-proclaimed
That means your
sorcerer
problems are soluble.
named Mahadev, who immediately told her that evil spirits were at work in her life. And if she didn't do what he told her, her life and the lives of her sons
Oh, yeah.
would be in danger.
Damn.
Yeah.
What did he tell her to do? Nothing much, really.
Can you do something between a Canadian and a Jamaican accent when you do that? Because that would be perfect for this. The lives of your sons.
Nothing much, man, eh?
The lives of
Yeah,
your sons
exactly.
are in
What the heck?
detriment, eh?
So what did he ask her to do? What did he tell her? This is what you need to do, ma'am?
He did it politely, though, because Canadian.
Of course. Just to give him $10,000 so he could deal with the black magic right away and get rid of the demons. Now, I bet you know what happened next. Apparently,
Got
the
a
evil
black
spirits.
magic woman.
Apparently, the evil spirits were much
Got a black
stronger
magic
than he had anticipated, and it was going to take another big chunk of cash to pull the whole thing off.
Got a black magic woman.
Marie Jean wound up paying the con man $46,000.
Okay, wait a second. Wait, hold on. Slow down a second. So this woman had $46,000.
Yeah.
And she's worried about her future? You got $46,000 sitting around?
That's crazy.
She paid the $46,000 to this Mahadev to shoo away Slimer, Gozer, and the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. But it still didn't work. this so-called psychic even told her, this is true, to go to the dollar store and buy jars that the evil spirits would be captured in so they could be taken to Niagara Falls to be killed. Which should have been a dead giveaway right there. Because we all know that the jar has never been invented that's big enough to hold the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. And if it had been, you wouldn't have been able to find it between the cans of stale Pringles and the 99-cent condoms at the dollar store. And by the way, why has no one ever sued these dollar stores for false advertising? There were all kinds of things in the 99-cent only store that cost more than $1. Maybe that's why they all went out of business.
Yep.
But that's not important right now. After paying the ever so trustworthy Maha Dev the $46,000, our Canadian woman was told that her life was going to be wonderful and was given a crinkled up piece of gold foil in a picture frame that was supposed to protect her from evil spirits.
I mean, that's a pretty
going
good
forward.
return on profit, right?
Oh, and she was going to win the lottery. And not just any lottery, but the biggest jackpot ever. And that she would have a beautiful home by the lake.
All for only $46,000?
Yeah. That's what the amazing Crookskin told her. And just before advising her that he would need another $20,000 to make sure that this all happened as he described.
So you're going to take at least $20,000 of lottery tickets to make that happen.
So at that point, the most amazing thing occurred. Even more incredible than the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man being captured in a mason jar and thrown over Niagara Falls. More incredibly, Marie Jean began to wonder if maybe, just maybe, Maha Dev didn't really have psychic powers at all. Maybe, and I know this is a big stretch, maybe he was just trying to scam her out of her life savings.
$46,000 into it. She thought that.
She took her story to a local TV station, which contacted Maha Dev. The soothsayer told them he didn't know who Marie Jean was because he'd never met her.
The shaggy defense.
But he could find out for a
The
quick
shaggy
$10,000.
It wasn't me.
Wait, it wasn't me.
I even caught you on camera.
So hang on a second, though. If you're psychic, wouldn't you know who she was even if you hadn't met her?
You have to pay $10,000 to find out.
And for that matter, if you're really psychic, why don't you predict and win the lottery and retire instead of running a crappy psychic office in a rundown strip center between a dildo shop and Four Seasons Total Landscape?
Hey, I think the psychics are missing a syllable. It's psychotics.
Our story does have a happy ending, however.
I'm all about happy endings.
After claiming that, it's good to know.
I'm sorry, did I say that out? Sometimes my outies become innies and my innies become outies.
Yeah, I get
Sorry.
it. After claiming he didn't know her to the news media, Maha the Maharishi
It wasn't me.
actually refunded all $46,000
What?
to Marie Jean. Yep.
Whoa.
Which she immediately spent calling the psychic hotline of Madame Cleo from those late night TV ads back in the 80s for the low
Madam
price
Cleo.
of
Don't you know?
$4.99 per minute. Actually, that may not have happened. She did get the money back, but
That's nuts. I've never even heard of that.
the part about calling Madame Cleo actually came to me in a psychic dream, so of course it's
Well,
real,
yes,
right?
yes, well,
Yeah.
that's for real.
There are thousands of people like Scammy the Psychic out there preying on vulnerable people who just want answers about what's happening in their lives, and it's a real problem. One that I wish that I could solve by shuffling and dealing a pack of tarot cards, but alas, like most psychic solutions, that hasn't worked so far. So the best that I might be able to do is to give you some tips about how to spot that psychic you're visiting just might not be on the level. And we will present them to you in the form of this week's Drinking News Top 5 list. These are the top 5 signs that your psychic may be a scam artist. Number 5, they predict that Johnny Depp and Amber Heard will get back together. Number 4, they say, go ahead and try Ozempic. What could possibly go wrong? Number 3, they tell you that you'll soon receive an invite to a P. Diddy pool party. Go ahead and go. Everything will be fine. Number 2, they say that the spirits have told them that Nicolas Cage will win an Oscar for his next movie. And the number 1 sign that your psychic may be a scam artist, number 1, they predict that Michelob Ultra will be this year's winner of the Great American Beer Competition. reporting live from Canada, where I'm trying to convince Marie Jean not to respond to the email from a Nigerian prince who wants to give her his fortune. My
But
name
all
is-
she has to do is give him her banking account
yeah,
information.
so he can transfer, of course.
Right, because you got to have the banking account information to transfer.
My name is Cruz, and that is your...
Drinking news, drinking news. That's our time for drinking news.
Cheers, y'all.
I can't believe he didn't spend it all before he had to get
I can't believe she got it
The
back.
most unbelievable part of the whole story is
That is, that's the craziest thing.
Yeah, I know. I totally get it. Totally get it. So good for you, Marie Jean. And don't respond to the...
And if you
Madame
have
Cleo ads.
$46,000 just chilling on your bank account, you're probably not doing too bad.
Yeah.
Nah.
There are plenty of people who don't have that. Let's just say
I
that.
have $460 in my
Yeah.
bank.
see, there you go.
Like $60 in my bank account.
But you got a couple bottles of really good, expensive
You have
whiskey at your
really
house.
good
Yeah.
That makes
That's
you
the
worth it to us.
That's right.
That's all that matters.
That's
to me.
All right, so speaking of whiskey, you guys have poured another one for us. We heard the top pop on it, and it sounded delicious, but nothing like it smells, I'm
Get
guessing,
lots
right?
of vanilla.
Get some maple syrup. Just
I
on the
love,
nose.
first of all, I love Booker's. I've never had any year's Booker's that has not been just absolutely stellarly outstanding.
I don't know why I'm hung up on that vanilla. I don't know why.
The
Because
vanilla
it's
is definitely
wonderful.
there. There's also it's a very woody vanilla too. It's a very oaky kind of vanilla. Oh, he lit up.
Oh.
He lit up. Look at that.
Wow.
Now you've tried this. I haven't tried this yet.
Oh,
You've
yeah,
tried
yeah,
this before.
yeah,
You
yeah.
said
We-
this is
we
like
have- yeah, we
one
have
of
this
the
at
best
reserve.
expressions of it.
Oh, one of my favorite in recent
Yeah.
memory from Booker's.
This is
Wow.
one of the better
Definitely.
Booker's I've ever had. And so tell me again exactly what this one is.
This is a 2024
my
first
God.
edition because they release it currently, what is it, 3 times a year? Or 4?
Yeah, I think so.
3.
It kind of sells out every time, so...
Yeah, so they this is a 2024 first edition. 7 years, 7
Jeez,
months,
that's good.
8 days.
Such a cherry bomb.
David and cherry
Yeah.
bomb.
Dark cherry bomb. Also, the mineral water on the back end of it is so stark and so strong. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It really does come on with a big time whiskey hug
Oh yeah.
for sure.
I mean, this is bottled at. This came out 62.25.
This is so hardcore cherry.
So it really interesting because it's
That
so
sounds
cherry.
like a band name.
And-
Hardcore Cherry.
Argo Cherry. I like that. I've seen them. They rock. Because it is so hardcore cherry, though, I want to go back to this, which had a real cherry vibe to it as
Yeah,
well.
that stout, the Martin House stout that we had before. That's why I kept some of mine.
Wow, that's interesting because it seems almost thin now.
Oh, it turns the Martin House cherry into toffee,
Yeah,
like straight up like
Yeah.
Heath
but don't you
Bar
think it
toffee.
makes the consistency a little more
It
more
thins
thin?
it out a little bit. Yeah.
There's a little bit left in that can there, Ian. So, interestingly, this Martin House seems so thick and syrupy to me, but after doing the Booker's, it seems
But the
almost like,
mouthfeel, like-
the mouthfeel changes.
The mouthfeel on the Booker's is so big, but weirdly enough, it doesn't stick to the glass quite like the Penelope did.
We'll be right
You
back.
know
It's
what?
Smoking and Toasting. Welcome back. It's Smoking and Toasting. Our program is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. We are enjoying this Booker's bourbon.
An addendum here.
Explain though what Booker's is. Like what is the significance of Booker's and why is it so sought after?
Go ahead, I'll let you take this one.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, you.
Well, I I don't know the whole how they release it every year.
Do you know this one better?
So I do know some of it, but I'm not like an educated be like, oh no, this is how this happens. But so obviously this is
All
part
right,
of
who is Booker No then?
what do you say?
Booker No.
Booker.
That's his.
I know he's up there. Booker, no.
Booker No.
No, this one they started released like 1990. When was it they started releasing?
Yeah, I don't remember.
Hold on.
We're just full of information right here on Smoking and Toasting.
Why do you do that? Why do you start looking at me?
If only there was a device that we could ask a question like a supercomputer in our hand.
So, okay, hold on.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I'm trying to read
He
the
found
card.
a piece of paper out of it. This is 1987.
So,
Yeah.
I know.
Booker's.
I should know this, but
That I should know too.
All right.
So
I was
Booker was a 6th generation master distiller.
The whiskey in
go.
this package
Grew up-
is the highest grade bourbon.
Who grew up at a distillery in the heart of Kentucky. He was born to bourbon, while others rejoiced to drink bourbon at age 12. Booker was thrilled to start making this stuff. In 1992, Booker introduced the world of small batch bourbon. He actually coined the term small batch, and with it came his signature bourbon, Booker's, the barrel bourbon.
right.
Inspired by a 200-year-old tradition, Booker's is bottled uncut and unfiltered.
On
was it that
Booker's,
hard to
it
read
actually
the back?
says right here on the front, it says the whiskey in this package is the highest grade bourbon created by me here at Jim Beam. It is bottled uncut and unfiltered. My grandfather Jim Beam liked his whiskey from 6 to 8 years old. So we're starting off right there. This is coming in at 62.25%.
It's
Yeah.
just absolutely delicious, and that's what
It's pretty amazing.
What's interesting to me is that I've tried probably 7 or 8 different iterations of Booker's, and they've all been something that I would call
All right,
outstanding.
remember earlier in the last segment I said it didn't have any legs? No, I was absolutely 100% mistaken. Its legs are so strong. Like, it literally is just coated in the glass, and then you have to wait for it to start dripping down. It's crazy.
I have a funny story about Booker's actually.
Lay it on me, baby.
So whenever you were saying that, like, what is it? I was like, well, yeah, I don't know. It's a Jim Beam product, blah, blah, blah. I was going to go a little bit less technical. But anyway, whenever I early in my bartending career, I used to work for a place called Under the Volcano.
I remember that.
And they had...
great mixed drinks there.
So,
It
so,
really did.
So they had...
Also, I
Because of
saw
Roberto.
David Grissom play there. But
They had Booker's. At that time in my life, I had no idea about, I was very early in my career, so bourbon to
yeah,
me
this
was
is
like...
brand new. We all have that moment.
Yeah,
right?
and so that the owner there, they were super strict about drinking, and you cannot drink on shift, and they had the cameras. I'm watching you 24/7, and so there was this girl that worked with us over there. I'm not gonna say any names. She doesn't work there anymore. Doesn't matter. But she used to shoot freaking Bookers all the time.
Did
She did.
shots?
Shots of boogers.
Yeah, she took shots of Bookers, and I was like, damn, she's hardcore, man.
Well, see, here's what I don't understand. I don't understand taking shots of anything that tastes good.
Yeah.
If you're going to be forced to drink some Cuervo Gold or some, old
Forced
number
to
7, right? Go ahead and shoot it, because you might as well get the advantage of the alcohol without having to dwell on the taste.
Yeah.
But when you've got something that tastes like this tastes,
Yeah, of course. She had no idea. She just wanted to get drunk because it was a very freaking high and
well, you could do it a lot cheaper than Booker's.
and then she would refer to it as something like that rough thing because you're shooting freaking.
It's rough. Well, dude, here's the truth. Anything you shoot tastes rough.
Of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, it doesn't matter what it is. It
So
tastes rough.
when you're at Reserve 101, I mean, Reserve 101 is, from the moment you walk in, this is a whiskey specialty bar. There's so many bottles, and you're looking around going, wow, what am I even going to choose? How many people actually walk in and order like a Jack Daniels or something like extremely pedestrian and shoot it, throw it back, rather than ordering, something that is meant to be savored?
not often actually.
So that's
And
encouraging
honestly,
to me,
it's
'cause
like
I would.
if we're pouring Jack or some Crown or something like that, it's typically like Jack and Coke or Crown
but
and
you
Coke.
guys have
Right. It's more
Dirt
like
Bar
a-
next door. Which,
yeah.
Like people that are gonna do that kind of drinking are going to Dirt
Yeah.
Bar.
Well, I'm really encouraged by this because one of my sort of like goals in life is to get people to appreciate the finer things. And
yeah.
not just throw them back and go for the
When
cheap
people
one.
ask me, "Hey, do you want a shot?" I'm like, "What are you shooting?"
Right.
And the answer is a loaded question because the answer is I'm not gonna take a shot with you.
And they tell you a green tea
And then
shot.
if they go, "Oh, we're doing Jim Beam," I'm like,
Oh, we make a fantastic green tea though.
I'll either
Well,
step
yeah,
out,
yeah, but you get the point,
or
right?
if you want to do a Jameson or something like that, I'm fine. And then I'll take that shot and I'll take a sip.
We
of
also
it.
use Sazerac rye.
And that's the way I do it. Like
Yeah.
you just have you have to sip it. Like
I can't
don't do
tell you
shots anymore.
I
Man.
can't tell you how many times I've been standing around with people and we've all got our drinks and they all go whoop and I go,
Yeah, exactly.
Easy. All the
And
time.
I still
by the
have
way-
some left to enjoy.
Because even
for
like
the next
old
5
Granddad
minutes.
Bonded,
It's
I mean,
phenomenal.
price point,
It's
that,
wonderful.
you can shoot that and not feel bad about it, but I still like.
Well,
I'll break
No,
it down
still
into
seven.
at least 2 sips
It's
because
so
I'm like,
easy
oh,
and
yeah,
delicious.
I
Because
love
it's
that.
actually
It's
really
delicious.
good.
So good.
and
Yes.
at
Yeah.
$19 a bottle for that thing,
Right? Like what?
Come on.
Yeah, well, I think one of the things that
Don't tell people that because then it'll become.
Oh, I know. I know.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like a
Allocated.
$50,
Allocated.
Then we
fucking
won't be able to
$75
find
bottle.
old Granddad Bonded, and
Yeah.
I'll be like, damn it.
what is your favorite? Did you have a favorite story of someone coming in and ordering something interesting at Reserve 101?
Ooh, recently I had a guy come in. We just got the Old Forester 1924.
Dude, I'm standing right here.
Oh,
Already.
man.
So
No, I'm just joking.
that is it's a $25 ounce for us.
Sure.
And a
I'll
guy
go
was
get
like,
one.
will you make me an old fashioned with that? I was like, yeah, dude, it's 25 an ounce. Is that cool? And he was like, okay, whatever.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
made this dude a $55 old fashioned
Yeah.
with
And did-
1924.
and did
I
you
mean,
love it?
Hey, I'm not gonna yuck your yum, you know, like,
No.
hey, if that's how you want it, I got you, man. But I was like,
And I won't do that
because
either.
our
but-
household fashion is
Yeah,
amazing.
it's wonderful
yeah.
all by
It's like,
itself.
Yeah, we
why?
had that. We had it just a
Why
couple
would
weeks
you
ago.
do that?
Household fashion's outrageous.
Well, and I won't do that either and shame anybody because of doing that. But I've been wanting to try that 10-year-old Forester,
yeah.
and I haven't been able. And then this, like, come on, man.
Well, I just want to
Like,
mention
I'm happy
anybody
to do it, but
anybody
man.
that is coming to Houston to on business and you're staying at a downtown hotel, you can walk back to your hotel from Reserve 101.
Yes.
And it is one of the most fun places. Just walk right past the House of Blues, unless there's somebody.
Educating people is one of my favorite things.
Unless Joe
about my
Satriani's
job,
playing.
I
You're
was just
good.
about to say,
Oh, no,
unless
yeah,
there's
then-
somebody playing there that you want to see.
And,
come on.
Walk
and
right
if you
past
cannot,
and then
if
come
you
over.
cannot,
Buckethead, you
if
know.
you cannot walk back to your hotel, David will turn you in his back. So he'll take you back in his back.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, if I have to walk you all the way back, I will gladly
Yeah.
do it.
It's not that hard. Houston downtown is not that big. We can
carry
make
you.
it happen. Thank you guys so much for being on the show today. Thank you for bringing the amazing whiskey, and I hope you enjoyed the beer that we got
Oh
to.
man, dude, that
to
that
sample.
Martin House Columbiana was
It's
Yeah.
absolutely wonderful.
dude, next level.
Have
It
a
was so
great
good.
week, my friends. Thank you for being here for Smoking and Toasting, and we just want to remind you to join us again for next week's show when Guy Thomas will be joining us.
Thomas Marcella
Okay.
from 13 Degrees.
I said Guy Thomas because I wrote down in my calendar Wine Guy Thomas.
Oh, Thomas Marcella from 13 Degrees will be here.
Yeah.
And we'll be talking about wine and all of its nuances. He'll be bringing some fun things on.
That will be an awesome, fun time. Join us for it. Have a great week, my friends. And as we like to say here on Smoking and Toasting,
Cheers, Joe.
cheers, y'all.
So